try to understand what is sustainability. Sustainability means to sustain oneself. It means to be self-sustained and to empower others. Now, when you talk of sustainability, in today's class, we are talking about leadership. So we are basically talking of leadership and how leaders sustain themselves. Now, when we talk of leadership, we basically talk of leadership in a number of components. Because when leadership sustainability is talked about, it's not just the leader. Say, for example, when Hitler was leading himself, though he was very autocratic, it was not just he who was leading. The society also allowed him to lead. Do you agree with that? When Nelson Mandela was leading the social change, the society supported him. When Gandhiji led the social change, the society supported him. So basically what it means is we allow the leader to sustain, and therefore the leader sustains. So one of the very important components that we have of leadership is your first part that we're going to talk about is leadership. It's visible, right?
Yeah.
Context. Now, I'm going to simplify this term context to you. Context basically means a setting or a situation. Now, each one of us lead in a particular situation, and this situation has two parts. One part is the external part of the situation that is not in our control, that is not in control of the leader directly. You know, the leader has to work in those parameters and lead the society. For example, a woman leader may not be accepted in a particular area or a particular company. So that becomes the barrier for the woman to lead. Okay. A young leader may not be considered very good because the leader may not have experience. So the oldies in the group may not listen to you. Okay. So what does this mean? So this means that this is external setting. It's not in your control. You have to make an effort, a deliberate, conscious effort to change that mindset. But to change that mindset, you're going to require time, right? You're going to require efforts. So it's going to be a long term or maybe a little, shorter kind of an effort, but it depends upon your luck and situation again. So this is one part of the setting that we are talking about. The second part of the setting or context is your internal setting. Internal setting is, more to deal with you, your group, your family, your organization, things that are in your control. By virtue of you being a leader, people are going to listen to you. So you know that in external setting, you do not have full control, or you're in a zukta position, but in the internal setting, you at least have about 70 to 80% control. Okay. So when we talk of internal setting, we are talking about the sector that we are in. When you say sector, I mean, for example, is it education or is it business or is it market or is it your school where you're leading a project, or it's some kind of entrepreneurial department that you are put into so that you learn a new set of skills? Are you into some organization? So that is your sector. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay. The second part that we have is the teammates, your team, who your team is. How is the relation between your team? Is it balanced? Is it unbalanced? Are there problems? What is it? And here, the main part which is there is how you lead. So the leadership role makes all the difference in the internal setting. Compared to that, when we go to the external setting, it's more of the climate, culture, ecology, economics, political influence. Many a times you're too young to understand, but yes, the political influence also plays a vital role. so on. Okay. So basically, when we are talking of these things, this is in our control. Okay, this is something that you can change, you can modify. This is your rule. So you can have a number of ways to twist and turn whatever you want to in a very fashionable, in a very thoughtful, in a very proactive manner. But whenever you talk of the external factors, most of the external factors are not in our control. So this is the first part that we have when we talk about sustaining leadership. So any leader who wants to sustain himself will try to make this a 5-star kind of place. So it's, you're using a reverse paradigm that if you make a small town and a town, then all the places around it will gradually start having the influence. So you use a small influential model. Okay, now look at the advantage. If this place is in a bigger place, this is your external climate. If this is good, then automatically everything is good. If this is not good, then nothing is good. It's a problematic battle place for you. But still, you are making a change. So whenever a leader tries to lead, the leader needs to understand the setting. Let me take an example. You cannot lead the same way in India as you lead in Canada every time. You need to adopt certain cultural patterns. When you go to Canada, you need to adopt some other cultural patterns. Let me give you an example. In the Canadian history, women played a very strong role. In fact, most of the towns, the tribes that existed were led by women. So they were very strong in their communities. But over a period of time, that has changed across the globe. And now it's again a time when the reverse social processes are taking place. So what does that mean? That also means that everything is dynamic. It keeps on changing. So please remember, there is percolation of practices. There is osmosis, a kind of, practice twist and turn that takes place when it comes to the internal and the external factors. So this is one of the most important parts that we have. The second part of sustainability in terms of leadership is the leader himself. So the leader, the individual, that is you. What kind of a leader are you? What are your values? What is your motto? What do you want to do? How do you want to lead? So when you talk of leader as an individual, I'm sure all of you would agree that each individual is very different from the other, right? Om has a very different style of leading as compared to Aryan, as compared to Alina, as compared to Divyam. So it's all very different. So when we talk of leadership styles and categories, individual leadership plays a crucial role. So how should a leader be? You have actually chewed up this concept, but I'm still going to pen down a few points for you to revise. Okay, can I do that?
Yeah.
So how should a leader be? Would you like to contribute to the list very quickly? Excuse me.
Like the qualities.
Okay.
So responsible.
Very good. Responsible. What was the first thing you said?
Huh?
A leader should be responsible, accountable, caring. Then self-aware. We did great sessions on self-awareness, right? Self-aware. What else? Would you like to add to the list?
Like
kind.
Kind. Very good. Go on. There's a lot.
Yeah, so a leader should be like a servant leader.
Oh yes,
Helpful.
the servant leader concept that we did. Okay. Yes. Divyam, I guess you said thoughtful.
Ma'am, a good listener.
Very good. So I'll put it the other way around. I'll put it empathetic. Is the screen visible?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. What else? Can I say a leader needs to be visionary, Aryan?
Huh?
Visionary. Yes. Far-sighted, visionary. What else?
Ma'am, a leader should think out of the box.
Okay, should be creative. Come on, you have so much more to say. Knowledgeable, can I say that?
Helpful.
Thoughtful is already picked up, Divyam.
Ma'am, helpful.
Helpful, okay. Sensitive, this is very important. Sensitive to the right things, okay. What else?
Sensible.
Flexible. What about the communication part?
Sensible.
Sensible, okay. What about the communication part?
Ma'am, they should be a good speaker.
Yes, so basically your leader should be very, very communicative. Okay, so all this that you told me was one part of the leader. This is the personal traits that the leader has. So all this that you told me basically are the traits that a leader should have as a person. Okay, now we are coming to the second part, that is the skills that the leader should have. So what skills the leader must have? So one we've said is communicative. Second, there's a pause, so I expect some answers. How good a leader should be with people.
Ma'am, they should be answerable to the people.
Okay. So you mean that a leader should exercise judgment. So, okay, a leader should exercise judgment. Then a leader should also have good managerial skills. A leader, you remember we did negotiation, we did an entire session on negotiation, right? So so the leader should be able to negotiate, and the leader should have a long-term planning ability. Now, this is what we are talking when we talk about skills. With all this, what a leader needs is global awareness. So a leader should be global and local. Means a combination of these two is what is needed for leadership to be sustained. With the context and the leadership, we have a third part to this, which is a very short and crisp part. So I'm going to move ahead and I'm going to put it in black. That is the next part of what we call it as leadership actions. Now, leadership actions basically is everything that the leader does. So how does this take place? So one, it needs to be discussed. Always, whenever you take a particular decision, make sure you discuss it. It needs to have a clear view of the outcomes. What outcomes is a particular decision going to lead to? Does it have any collateral damage? So you also need to check for collateral damage. You know, sometimes when you take a decision, it harms somebody else. So how can you lessen that? You know, how can you lessen that collateral damage? That is very important. And that is what a good leader will do. The good leader will always lead to the process of empowering people. So it has to be an empowering process. It needs to be social upliftment. It needs to be transparent. Everyone should know what you have done in a very transparent manner. So all that you just told me will melt down to zero if you do not do these things. So researchers tell us that people who discuss and take decisions, people who use strategy, we've done strategic thinking in a number of ways, so people who have strategic management, people who are transparent, people who believe in empowering others, people who believe in lessening collateral damages are the leaders who have sustained for very long. And one of the most important point that each and every leader, including you, me, and everyone must have is networking. So we need to have very strong networking points. And that is what is the entire picture of leadership. So to put it in a nutshell, basically, if you want to be a sustainable leader, what you need to do is you need to understand your setting. Whenever you lead a project, you're doing something, you need to understand what you are looking at. So you look at your team and you look at the outside world. Second, introspect and find out which qualities you need to lead that team. Develop accordingly. Third, are your actions discussed with your teammates? Outcomes, are they clear? Is the vision clear? Will you be able to empower some other people from your team? If the answer is yes, it's great. Is your decision transparent? If the answer is yes, then again, it's a great thing. And you need to apply all the strategic management techniques to have the best results possible with great communication. So if you look at this 3-step, ladder model of leadership, you can become a sustainable leader.